Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So good to have you here today for another What's for Dinner video. I'm going to show you the things that we had around here to eat lately. I have not been spending as much time in the kitchen as usual. We've definitely been eating comfort foods, quick things, sandwiches, just whatever we can get on the table pretty quick on most days. Just have had a lot of changes in circumstances that have kind of impacted my weekly routine and how I usually go about getting things done here at the house, which includes cooking. So I appreciate that you keep coming back and seeing the things that we're having, whether they're super simple or nothing really out of the ordinary most of the days, but I appreciate you coming back. I'm going to show you what we have had this week. We had some delicious things, but they weren't anything that required a lot of time and a lot of thought. Also, lately I've just felt so uninspired. I look through recipes and I'm like, I don't really think any of this sounds good. Have you guys ever had times like that? James has come up with some ideas just randomly. He'll send me like, hey, how about this? This sounds good. And I've appreciated that because I've just been in this season to where I'm just not coming up with too many wonderful things. But you know what? We're eating good. There's never any question there. So, all right, I'm getting chitty chatty. Let me just tell you, I'm going to show you a quick preview of what we've had, and then we'll get right on into today's video.
There is never a time that a pot roast is not going to hit the spot. And look what I used my leftovers for, these amazing beef and noodles. All of this started with a Mississippi pot roast in my crock pot, you guys. You cannot beat a good pot roast that can turn into more than one meal. Did something entirely different with one of our very favorite meals. This was James' suggestion, and it was off the chart delicious. And this next meal was his idea as well. He called home and said, how about some chimichangas? I said, absolutely. So I made some yummy chimichangas. And I was craving some fried potatoes and onions. I made those up, and I'm going to finish by showing you dessert. I got rave reviews over this dessert. All right, we're starting out with a favorite around here, and that's a Mississippi pot roast. I've showed this on my channel before, been making this for years. A lot of people really enjoy this when you use a roast and a package of brown gravy or au jus. You use some dry ranch dressing. You use some pepperoncini peppers, and here's what I think made this one so good. Look at this. It's the Mount Olive mild banana pepper rings. They're the Italian season, so look at all that yummy stuff in the bottom of the jar. I was knowing that this would be such great flavor for this Mississippi pot roast, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to buy any other kind. I think I'm going to stick with these as long as I can get them. Put a little butter on there, and then your crock pot does the work, and here it is. I just made mashed potatoes. I cooked some carrots in there with the roast. Later on in the day, I added those in. I made a pan of cornbread. My husband could have pot roast every week. He loves it so much, and honestly, I love it. Now, here's what was great, or always is great, about a pot roast when you have leftovers. There's so many different things that you can do with your leftover roast. So this one was kind of like a rump roast, or I can't remember exactly what it said on the packaging, but this is really the kind that's perfect for like slicing, just like this for roast beef. But we had already determined that we were making, James wanted some beef and noodles. And so I used that as my beef for the beef and noodles. Here's my leftover gravy and carrots. And then I just added plenty of water to get my kettle full to boil up these noodles. Now, like I said, this wasn't, I prefer more of like a chuck roast or something you can kind of pull it. But I just sliced this up, and as it cooked, it kind of, chunked up on its own. I went in with this little potato, or the twist and chop, not potato, I don't know why I said that, the little twist and chop tool to kind of smash down these carrots a little bit to make them a little smaller pieces. And now normally when I make beef and noodles, I don't put carrots in it, but I had carrots already from the leftovers. These are the noodles. I love these Reams homestyle egg noodles that you get in the frozen section. They are as close to a homemade noodle as you're going to get, in my opinion, and I grew up having homemade noodles often. Both of my parents made great homemade noodles. So here we go, got them in the pot. Now, it's not that the noodles are so great on their own. They are, but really what makes a good chicken and noodle or beef and noodle, it's all of the yummy broth and the gravy, and you have to thicken it up, and that's the way I grew up having them anyway. And so you can just tell by looking at this. This is a yummy broth. It's going to make for some pretty good noodles. Okay, all of that beef is now added in. Once this cooks for a little bit and kind of starts, thickening a little bit on its own, you can determine how much thicker you want it, and I wanted it thicker. So good old cornstarch slurry is what we do to fix that problem. So a little bit of cornstarch mixed with cold water and pour it in, and that will thicken these noodles up perfectly. Now that I've done that and I gave it a little taste test, it needed a little bit more of a beefy taste in my opinion, so it's always good to taste your things and then go back in. You can add more seasonings. Can't take it out, but you can always add some in. So I added in some of that dry beef base, and that is exactly what it needed. And look, they've thickened up nicely. And I had some leftover mashed potatoes, and you can't, in my opinion, have much better comfort meal than this. We loved every minute of this. It was so good. If you've never had beef and noodles, you got to make yourself some beef and noodles. Like I said, it is a comfort food favorite. We love it so much around here. So this meal came about from James. He said, I kind of want to use some pulled pork that we had in the freezer. Oftentimes when we do a big pork butt or pork shoulder, it makes a lot. And so we can put some in the freezer for whatever other meal that we'd like to have on down the line. So he saw those packages in the freezer and said, I kind of want pork, fried rice, but like barbecue pork fried rice. And I said, well, let's do it. So that brought about, I think, a new favorite for us, honestly. It was so good. So let me show you here. In my crock pot, guys, what am I saying? In my skillet, I have cut up an orange bell pepper and some onion, and that's going to be the base to getting my fried rice started. Now, I have made fried rice on my channel plenty of times. We love fried rice, and it is easy to make at home. You don't have to get it from Chinese, carry out, whatever. It's really easy to make at home. So and I never follow a recipe. I never do it the same way twice, because it's a great recipe or a meal idea to use up things that you have on hand. So that's great in that respect. So started off with those peppers, onions, olive oil, and then some frozen peas and carrots. I try to keep peas and carrots in my freezer all the time for when I want to make up a batch of fried rice. So here is the pork, and I'm going in and just making sure they're all, about the same size pieces. And then I'm just going to saute this together. I'm going to add in a couple of eggs, scramble those up. You can use however many eggs you want to for fried rice. I put 2 in this time. I'm going to add in some black pepper. Now, I steer clear from salty things in my fried rice till more towards the end, because your soy sauce can be salty, which actually I didn't even have any soy sauce and didn't use any this time, obviously, if I didn't have any. And, sometimes I use dry chicken base to flavor it, so I don't add any salt extra for fried rice. You don't want to get it too salty. So I got those all scrambled up, mixed in, and then this is the rice that I made earlier that morning. I like to make my rice in the morning, put it in the refrigerator so it gets good and cold. That helps it to not become mushy when you're making the fried rice. Added in some sesame oil, and that definitely gives such a distinctive flavor for fried rice. and a little bit more butter. Now I'm going to go in with some garlic. So I had some garlic, actually, some of the garlic in the jar. Added that in. Now, if you've never made fried rice, just Google a recipe. Look on Pinterest, whatever. You'll find all kinds of recipes and find one that suits you. Easy to make and so delicious. Okay, so you saw me sprinkle in a little bit of dry chicken base. I decided it needed a little bit more of a flavoring from that, a little bit of salt. And then you saw this bottle. I showed you the hoisin sauce. So hoisin is like a Chinese barbecue sauce, an Asian barbecue sauce. So I've only been using it here recently. It's the first bottle I've ever purchased. We really enjoy it. So I told James, I said, what about using this for the barbecue portion? He tasted a little bit of it on his finger. He said, yes, let's do that. So I put that all over the top and just kind of, mixed it together here. This, like I said, this was kind of an experiment just based on him thinking that sounded good. And you guys, if you've never made anything like this before, try it. It is so good. You could just use regular barbecue sauce, I'm sure, but I already had this hoisin sauce in my refrigerator. Let me tell you, this was so good. I literally wanted to make it again few days after that. It was so good. All right, for this night's meal from my pantry, I pulled this rice-a-roni, the cilantro lime, and I looked up online, can I do this in my rice cooker instead of just plain rice and the rice steamer? And yes, you can. So that was my first time to ever try like a box sort of seasoned type rice in the rice steamer. It worked great. I sauteed up here 1 pound of ground beef, and I just seasoned it how I wanted it for taco style meat. Laid out my low carb tortillas here on the island, filled them with cheese, and added in my seasoned ground beef, and then I just rolled these up kind of burrito style. James had requested chimichangas, so I'm like, well, let's come up with some. So I had this queso in my refrigerator. I heated some of that up to go over top. So I just folded these and just fried them in a little bit of olive oil until they were kind of a golden brown. And then to plate those up, I just went in, added the queso over top. That's how James wanted it specifically. And then I just put some salsa and some tomatoes and onions that I had already chopped up in my refrigerator, and the rice on the side. It was so easy, so delicious. Frying up some potatoes. I'm about to put some bacon grease in there and some onions. Haven't made fried potatoes in so long. They've been sounding good, just haven't had a chance to make them. Today was the day. They're going to go along with our leftover brats that James did on the grill last night. Okay, now I've got my onions in. I think I'm going to go on some seasoned salt and pepper, some Lowry seasoned salt and pepper. And the bacon grease. Had a little bit left in there from the bacon that was fried in there this morning. So, might add a little bit more to it. There they are, looking good. So let them cook till they get soft and tender and browned up. These potatoes hit the spot. I had plenty left over that I was able to eat on the next couple mornings to go along with breakfast. And of course, this brat on the side was wonderful. This was a very easy meal to put together. Now I'm going to show you a dessert. I think I got more rave reviews on this dessert than I have on any dessert that I've made in a good long while. So here's what we've got here to put this together. These are called chocolate SCOTCHAROO bars. So I used the Cocoa Krispies. You can use plain Rice Krispies, but I had Cocoa Krispies. That's what I wanted to use. You need some light corn syrup and a cup of sugar, a cup each of those. 6 cups of the Rice Krispies. I think it was a cup of peanut butter as well. And then you use a mix of chocolate chips and butterscotch chips for the topping, but I did not have butterscotch chips, so I used these 2 bags here. One was a mix of white chocolate, dark chocolate, and semi-sweet chocolate. And then I used just some plain white chocolate to go along with it to make up the amount I needed. This makes a 9 by 13 size pan. First off, you want to put your sugar and your corn syrup in a kettle. You don't want to get a hard, heavy rolling boil, but you want to get just some few little bubbles here and there to where it starts dissolving that sugar. Then you add in your peanut butter. Once that's mixed together, your 6 cups of your Rice Krispies goes in. You give that a stir. Now, the direction said not to press real hard in the pan so they don't kind of firm up too much on you. My 9x13 pan here, I sprayed it, put that in, and then I just microwaved the chocolate, stirred that together, and put it on top. And these just were amazing. It's got the crispy from the Rice Krispies. It's got the peanut butter. The chocolate topping kind of gets hard once it sits there and firms up. It was so delicious. If you haven't made a recipe kind of like this one, you definitely want to give this one a try. It's an old recipe, and I will have it linked down in the comments below. I realized I hadn't shown Father's Day. We had pulled pork. My daughter-in-law Hope smoked that and brought the pulled pork. We had a delicious peach cobbler that my mother-in-law made and a chocolate cake that Abigail made, both so delicious. We've got a broccoli salad and some jalapeno poppers, baked beans. My mother-in-law made these potatoes. They were a family favorite. And we just had a wonderful Father's Day feast. Everything was so, so good. So I just thought I would show you that. And then we recently at church, we had like a sub sandwich meal. Look how pretty and wonderful all of this was. Everybody just kind of pitched in all sorts of things to make yummy sub sandwiches. We had a yummy taco dip here, a veggie tray, and then we had some sundaes for dessert. So we had homemade chocolate sauce there, chocolate fudge. We had some caramel, some delicious no-bake cookies. It was a really yummy summer meal.
All right, you guys, again, as always, thank you for spending some time here with me in my kitchen. Leave this a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It will help out my channel so much. And if you have not subscribed, I'd love to have you around here on a regular basis. I love reading your comments, so if you leave me a comment, thank you always for that. All right, you guys, I hope you have a very blessed week. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Bye, everybody.